Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Show with me, Emo Folami. This is the Neurodivergent Show where we discuss all things ADHD, Autism Spectrum, OCD, and dyslexia. Today's show is going to be very interactive. I want to talk to you about something that is very real. It's not something we discuss too often because um, people expect us to get it, but as parents of neurodivergent kids, we are the ones that feel it. We know it. We feel it. So today we're on this quest to understand understand why people refuse to get an autism diagnosis. But before we go further, I have a message somebody sent me, and I'm going to be sharing it with us real quick. Um, it says the message was sent to our Instagram page. And I took out the name, of course, because I need the person to be anonymous. So it says, "Hello, I love your show, Emo. Please keep up the good work. Thank you." It says, "I hope you can help me out because I feel like I'm in a fix. So my only son, I had to strike out the name for privacy, turned 6 this year. Ever since he was born, I have noticed that he does not act like his typical peers. First, he could not make eye contact with anyone for longer than 2 seconds. Then, for so long, we had to teach him basic things like how to point, use cutlery. He hates loud music or any kind of loud noise and would always cover his ears and scream when a loud sound was played. Also, he found it difficult communicating his needs. Even till now, he can only use 2 to 3 words to communicate. So anyway, I suspect my kid is autistic and been trying to get him diagnosed for years, but my husband wouldn't hear of it. To me, the signs are very obvious, and I feel like without a diagnosis, it may not be able to receive all the help it needs. I think there is a part. So let's make sure we close this one first. Okay. My husband is absolutely refusing a diagnosis. He says there is nothing wrong with our son and it's just all a phase that he'll outgrow. My in-laws are also against an autism diagnosis. They say autism is a worldly diagnosis and not a godly diagnosis. They say I should have faith in God and everything will be okay. What can I do? Please, I feel like it's in my best interest to get an autism diagnosis, but don't know what to do. Help me. Thank you so much for reaching out to us. I appreciate that you can trust us with this information. Anonymous. When I got this message, I was more of okay. Let's discuss. Okay, let's give them reasons to get a diagnosis. But then I was like, hold on. Have we ever considered the why? Why people are reluctant to get an autism diagnosis, or better still, why people just don't get an autism diagnosis as a whole. And so I started researching, I started asking questions, I started asking around, asking people. I'm like, why? What have you seen that's made it feel like people do not want to get an autism diagnosis? And here is a compilation of the things I got. The first one, ignorance. Ignorance. Now, some people absolutely do not want an autism diagnosis. They do not. They cannot. They don't want to hear of it. They don't want to. They don't want to have anything to do with it. But bless some people's heart, they do not even know that autism is a thing. They do not even know that autism exists. I mean, they know that their kid's different, or they know that even they themselves are different, but they just feel like it's just one of those things. It's just personality differences. But some people actually do not know that they are raising autistic kids. If you're just joining us here, this is the Neurodivergent Show. On today's show, we are discussing 7 reasons many people go undiagnosed. If you're here, I'd like for you to give us a shout out, okay? This is a live production, so please go ahead and give us a thumbs up and give us a shout out. Say hi to me. I need to know that I'm not here by myself, that you're here, that you're listening to me. I want to give you a shout out, so say hi to me and I'll give you a shout out on air. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so now. Tonight, we are discussing 7 reasons many people go undiagnosed. And I started with the first one. I said ignorance. If you're here and you've seen people that are autistic, number one, or have autistic kids, and you know that this parent has just absolutely refused or absolutely does not want to get an autism diagnosis, and you've experienced this before, I want you also to share in and let us know your thoughts. So please, let's keep up. Let's contribute. Let's make it as interactive as we can. Ignorance, especially first-time parents. Last week, our show was about 10 signs, 10 early signs of autism, and we mentioned things like kids may not be able to meet developmental milestones. We said kids may they may not like loud sounds. We say kids that are autistic may not point at things. So we said kids that usually neurotypical kids, they'll point at things and tell you cookies, they'll tell you what they want before age 1, but not so autistic kids or possibly autistic kids. We also mentioned things like kids, just kids not meeting their developmental milestone, kids being different, kids not talking yet, kids not socializing very well. Those are telltale signs that a kid is autistic. But what would happen is some parents see these things and they just ignore. You know what would happen? What used to happen before the autism diagnosis became even rather popular is people did not usually for one to get an autism diagnosis, the person must really be intellectually disabled, they are not probably, what I used to understand about autism while growing up was for a kid to be autistic, for a kid to be, for a kid to have the autism, to be diagnosed as autistic, the kids probably, in diapers all their lives, they are 21, they can't talk, they can't eat, they can't feed themselves. And, that's our own understanding of autism. But that is not the whole thing. That is actually a rare case of autism. Autism, according to the DSM-5 rule as to how you can get diagnosed with autism, it's social interaction, not speaking early or not being able to articulate your feelings, and all those kind of things. So sometimes parents are just ignorant. Honestly, some parents do not actually know that their kid's autistic. That is the truth. And that if you're a parent or someone who's a parent, I want you to please be on the lookout, okay? Because ignorance can no longer be an excuse. Ignorance should no longer be an excuse. We have to get to a point where we begin to see these things. We have to. Now there is no excuse. Now these things are more obvious. People are noticing it. And if someone were to walk up to you and say, "Hey, I've noticed something different about your kids or your kid, why don't you take your kid for a test?" Please, I want to encourage you to be open-minded. Don't just say things like, "Oh, absolutely, my kids cannot be autistic." Say things like, "Okay, I'll look into it." Make research. Just try and see if there is a truth to what the teachers in school, the teachers in churches, everyone around you is saying. Because the truth is, you may be raising an autistic kid and you may not even know it. I've watched so many videos on YouTube, especially females, that get diagnosed at 41. And then they ask their parents say, I never knew she was autistic. I mean, she could talk early. I know she had issues. I know she had problem interacting with others. I know she had social interaction problems. I know she couldn't do certain things, and the way she thinks or the way her thought process was kind of different. But I just felt it was what made her different. I didn't know that she was autistic. So, hey, we understand that ignorance is one of those things. But what we're saying here is, please be open-minded, because autism is not what we used to know. Autism is not like the way we used to know it. Autism is just little things now. And if your kid is autistic, it's good, so that you can help that child, so that you don't make little of what the child is going through, so that you can give the child an explanation, because the truth is the child will be treated differently out there. But when you found out, when you've studied your kid enough to know that he or she is, in quote, autistic, you're helping them, you help them understand it, you help yourself understand it, you give them a tool they can use as they go out there. So when people tell them they are different, they tell them, I know I'm different. You don't have to tell me. I know my parents already told me, you know. That's how you can help your kids. So number one, ignorance, especially first time parents. It's one thing if you are like a second time parent. So you have something to compare with. Oh, one not talking early, one talking early, one doesn't like social interaction, one likes social interaction, one does not really hit developmental milestone, one doesn't like pointing, one doesn't like making eye contact, one does. You have something to compare with. But if it's just you first time parent, you have nothing to compare with. And I think that was one of the things my husband and I, the challenges we faced, because we just felt like everything was okay. We're first time parents, we didn't know. All right. So number one, ignorance. Let's get to the second reason why we found out that people like autistics go undiagnosed. The second reason I have here from my research is blissful denial. God have mercy. Blissful denial. Before we go into that, if you're here, please go ahead and give us a shout out. I want to know that I'm not in the studio by myself. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Say hi to me. I want to know that you're here and you can see me. Hi, Tony. Tony's saying hi. Senny says ignorance is bad. Absolutely. Ignorance is bad. Let's give you a shout out so that you can see those people that are already sending in their comments. Tony says, hi. Hi, Tony. Thank you. Senny says ignorance is bad. Ignorance is bad. Well, ignorance can no longer be an excuse is what we should say. Ignorance should no longer be an excuse. Not at this day, not at this time. Ignorance should no longer be an excuse. Our parents could say, oh, I didn't know, but we do not have that excuse. We have the internet, we have the library, we have everything, at our beck and call. So we cannot say, oh, we didn't know. No. I have another shout out here. Thank you so much. Olufumi Mulero says hi. Hi, Fumi. Thank you for joining us here on the Neurodivergent Show. Let's talk about reasons why people may go undiagnosed. Let's see. We're going on to the second one now, which is ignorance. Okay, let's take this one out, and then let's also take this one out. Number two, blissful denial. Blissful denial. Some people, I'm not mentioning your name, and I'm not making little of what you go through. Some people will never, ever, ever, ever accept their kids autistic. Like there is nothing you can tell them. There is nothing you will say. I mean, the signs are obvious. Everyone's told them. The teachers have told them. Diagnosticians from schools have told them. People in church have told them, hey, there's something going on with your kid. But some people will never, ever accept that their kid can possibly be autistic. And you know why? Because ignorance is bliss. That is the truth. Ignorance is bliss. I mean, sometimes that ignorance I've found out is that safety zone we want to stay in. We want to hold on to it. We want to hold on to hope. We want to hold on to, it's actually better. It's easier to be in denial than to accept. There's some people that, acceptance comes very easy for them. Supermom Chibuzo was here the other day and she mentioned something about, she just accepted. She accepted after a while. It doesn't come. It's not the same for everybody. And I kind of get it. I do. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, oh, stop being in denial. Oh, go get an autism diagnosis for your kid or for yourself, maybe. I'm going to tell you, I kind of get it. I do. Because I was in denial for a long time that my kids were neurodivergent. It took me a lot of, I'm a Christian. It took me a lot of dealing with, the Holy Spirit dealing with me, dealing with my heart for me to be able to get to a place to start accepting that, my kids are possibly, or then my kids are neurodivergent. Denial. I get it. If you're in denial that your kid is autistic, your kid is neurodivergent, I understand it. I do. But I'm also going to tell you something right now. Sometimes we have to get above that. You have to get to a point where you begin to do things not just for you, but for the family, for your kid. I'm sorry. You have to put, you have to understand whose interest, like, okay, who's going to gain from this? Being in denial, you're the only one gaining. Your kid is not gaining because those things are obvious. Autism is not going away. An autistic kid will become an autistic adult. It's not a phase that will pass away. So you being in denial, hoping your kid is not autistic, hoping things will change, is not going to change anything. So I want to encourage you that, of course, denial is understandable, but we must put the kid's best interest at heart. And sometimes that means letting go of the denial. It may take long, I get it. Go through the process, cry, blame everybody, blame God, blame yourself, do all those kind of things. But eventually you will need to get to a place of acceptance because that's what's best for the kid. Blissful denial. All right, we have several comments coming here. Remy says, "Hey, super mom." Hi, Remy. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're here, I want you to go ahead and give us a shout out. Say hi to me in the studio. Let me know what your thoughts are concerning this topic. We are discussing reasons why people do not want to get an autism diagnosis, why people refuse to get it, why people just do not want to get it, why people go undiagnosed. The first one we mentioned, we said ignorance. We said ignorance is bliss, and now we're just talking about denial, and that it's what's easy for parents to be in, and we can be in denial for so long and so long and so long. um but at some point we have to put the kid's best interest at heart. Tari says, hi Tari, thank you for joining us. This is the Neurodivergent Show. We appreciate you. We appreciate your comment. We appreciate your thumbs up. Thank you for being a part of our show. Now we are going on to the third one, and after the third one, I'm going to be turning on the phone line so that we can call in and share our thoughts and contribution concerning this topic. The third one, this is a very powerful one: fear of the autism label. Fear of the autism label. Many people are of the opinion that once they get that autism diagnosis, well, it's not of the opinion, it is the truth that when you get the autism diagnosis, it follows a kid through the life. There are no, like, you can't take it back. Once a kid is diagnosed, a kid is diagnosed. And so some people, some parents especially, are worried of that impact on the kid. Like, oh my God, if I get this kid an autism diagnosis, what about when the kid wants to work? What about the relationship? What about the future of the kid? What about, am I limiting this kid? The autism label. And so this is one of the reasons why people do not want to get an autism diagnosis, because they feel like that will follow a kid all through his or her life. And they do not feel like it's the right choice, the autism label. So if you're in that situation and your concern is, I do not want my child to be labeled, I do not want that autistic trademark to follow my child all through his or her life, I want you to know that I get it. We understand it. We get that that is one reason. And of course, you are the parent. It is a legit reason, because the truth is autism is going to stay on the, at work, they ask for it. Whenever you're filing applications, they ask for it, from work and all. So we kind of get it. But again, the kids, one thing I've come to observe is what usually would happen is parents will not get diagnosis for their kids. And so it feels like the kids try to mask, they learn to blend, they don't mention it, they don't even let the kid know that they're autistic, and the kids grow up. And you know what happens when the kids grow up? The kids most likely would go get a diagnosis for themselves, because they just keep saying that I feel like there is something going on with me. And you know what happens when many adults eventually get their diagnosis? When you ask them, I've asked many of them, when you ask them, what does it feel like for you? They're like, it's such a big relief. I wish I had gotten this a long time ago. I wish somebody had told me I was autistic, because it explains everything. Now I kind of understand why I am like this. Now I know that I am not a demon. Now I know that I am not possessed. Now I know that I'm not weird. Now I know that I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I am just autistic. Now I kind of get it. I have that explanation. And I wish I had gotten it a long time ago. So yeah, not wanting the kid to get a label may be reason, but I'm telling you, it is not reason enough for you not wanting to get a kid a diagnosis. because many times we feel like the kids do not want it, but eventually you find out that they really do want it. And it may not happen, or you may not understand this until the kids become adults and go get a diagnosis themselves. Okay, at this time, I'm going to be opening the phone line so that we can have this interactive session going on. If you feel like you know people that have refused, absolutely refused to discuss autism, they don't want to hear about it, and they know that their kid is possibly autistic, or they themselves are possibly autistic, and you know something, I want you to come share. And if you've gotten your autism diagnosis for your kids, I want you to share with us and tell us what your experience has been like. Was it something you just woke up one morning and said, "Oh, my kid is autistic. Let's go. Oh, I feel like my kid is autistic. Let's go get a diagnosis." Or was it something that took a lot from you? It took a lot of processing, a lot of digesting. We want to hear from you. And I'm going to be opening the phone lines now. The number to call is 817 935 8734. 817 935 8734. Today we are discussing 7 reasons many people go undiagnosed. We would like to hear from you. Okay. We're going on to the next one. Fear of staying on the family. This is a big one. In Africa, in Africa where I came from, I mean, autism diagnosis, once you have it, it's like it's a stain on the family. I've had people, respond to us and they say, the Asian community, the Mexican community, the African community. Once you get that diagnosis, it's like your family hierarchy, your family's what's it called has been reduced, because the way people are going to start looking at you like, the autism family. And so that is why many people would actually keep a hush hush and not want to get a diagnosis, because they do not want that stain to be on their family. And it's why a lot of Africans would rather hide their kids in the house. They keep their kids in the house, lock them in the house, not let anyone see them, or not let anybody know anything is going on with them, because they do not want that stain on the family. And then we're going to be going on to the 5th one right now. The 5th one is the child may be bullied or treated differently. This is a big one. The child may be bullied, the child may be treated differently. And this is one fear many parents, because they feel like once everybody knows it's autistic, they're going to start feeling like, oh, this kid is retarded. This kid does not know how to think. So there is that chance of being bullied. There is that chance of being treated differently, like treated like you're not smart enough, like you're not knowledgeable enough. And it's one fear many people harbor. And that is why they do not want to get an autism diagnosis, or why they do not want their kid or anyone to be diagnosed. And if you're out there, I tell you, today's show is just to let you know that your fear is legit. We kind of get it. I get it. I personally get it. I'm not going to come here and say, on another show, we're going to discuss why you should actually get a diagnosis. But now we're discussing why you may not want to get a diagnosis. And that is okay that you are there. It's okay that you are there. It's legit. You're human and you go through all these things. But then we still have to come back to who the important subject is here. The important subject here is the child. Is the child. And many of these things we know it comes from fear, our fear as parents. But remember, always remember the child. The child. What's in the what's in the best interest of the child? What should I do for this child? Yes. Okay. Let's take this one. This one, we have a comment here. Very, very important one. Beck's mama says, yes, the fear is real. It's even more real when the child is nonverbal. It is. It is very real when the child is nonverbal. There is that fear that, even one of the problems, or one of the fears many people also have is the fear of their kids being maltreated, the fear of their kids being bullied, the fear of their kids being abused. I've heard many moms of girl child tell me, I'm so scared my kid is going to be abused. And that is why, I'd rather hide the kid in the house, no diagnosis, nothing. Let's just keep, rolling with it. And the truth is, it is a legitimate fear. It is. It is. And we cannot take away anything from it. If you do not have a neurodivergent kid, if you do not have a neurodivergent child, you just can never understand it. You cannot. And so that is why it is very easy for people that have not perfect, but neurotypical kids, to be quick to judge parents that have neurodivergent kids as, not doing well enough or being in denial. And you don't understand it until you're in that position. You probably won't get it. And when you're in that position, you will get it. Sorry, we missed the call. Please kindly call us back. The number to call is 817-935-8734. Again, it's 817-935-8734. Would like to hear from you. Today's show is a very brief one. We're going to be out of here in like another 10-15 minutes. So it's not something that will take exactly 1 hour. We keep missing calls. I am so sorry. Okay, here we have another call. Let's take this one. Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Show. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please? Can you hear me? Oh. Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Show. What's your name and where are you calling from, please? For some reason, I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. This is the Neurodivergent Show. Would you like to tell us who you are and where you're calling from? Hello. Oh, I'm sorry we missed that call. Kindly call us back. The number is 817-935-8734. 817-935-8734. Would like to hear from you. And if you're not able to call in, would also appreciate a comment from you, letting us know what you think about what we're discussing. Hi, this is hello.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. This is the Neurodivergent Show. What's your name and where are you calling us from? If you'd like to share that, please. Okay, for some reason, something is going on with our call line. I'm about to refresh that. Let's see if that works. Please call us back. It's 817-935-8734. 817-935-8734. Let's go on and take the remaining couple reasons why people go undiagnosed. The sixth one, let's put that on the screen. This is a big one. This is a very, very big one. Personally, I have people, now that I have started the Neurodivergent Show, I have people that actually have started looking at me as someone that probably, for me to do this kind of thing, for me to be discussing this, I must not be Christian enough. Like, I do not have enough faith. Like, what do I mean that my kid is neurodivergent? All God's creation are perfect. And anything like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, OCD, they are all from the pit of hell. It is a spiritual attack. There is nothing wrong with the kids. How dare you say there is something wrong with the kids? And this is one of the reasons why people will not seek an autism diagnosis, because of their religious beliefs, because of the belief that, autism is a spiritual attack from the pit of hell. I'm here to tell you that that is absolutely incorrect. Autism is not a spiritual attack. Autism is not from the pit of hell. Personally, God dealt with me and let me know that. Let's hold that thought. Hi, this is the Neurodivergent Show. Would you like to tell us your name and where you're calling us from, please?
Yeah, my name is Catherine. Calling back. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you for calling back, Catherine. Would you like to share and talk to us about what you think, what we're discussing today? 7 reasons why many people go undiagnosed.
Yes, please. And, I'm very glad that you said the last thing you said. I'm a pastor, and one thing that's for sure that you mentioned one thing right now, which is I was going to ask you the question, which is have people been coming to you, to judge you based on the show? Because I saw your show online, and when I saw the show, I was glad, and my heart was just so filled with joy, because this is something that I've been talking to the ladies and the women in my ministry about.
Okay.
And sometimes when we talk about it, it's like we're not spiritual enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we don't believe in God. It's like, we don't pray.
Mm.
It's like, we're embracing the world, right? Because I have a neurodivergent son, and when it comes to prayer, oh Lord, I prayed midnight, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., fasted for 40 days for my son, literally fasted for 40 days, dry fast, you
Wow.
know, for my son. And at the end of the day, God actually spoke to me and he told me that this boy I've given to you is for signs and wonders
Amen.
and is a royal priesthood, an holy nation, a peculiar person.
Mm.
I've chosen him to show forth,
Amen.
you know. So he told me that and he gave me the wisdom to take care of my son because I knew that at the end of the day, he had plans for him. So this, you mentioned something very important, ignorance. Being Christian doesn't mean that we are not ignorant. Even the Bible said that the people of the world are smarter than people in the church.
Mm.
There's a reason why it says that.
Mm.
We being Christian, we should not be ignorant of what is going on around us. Actually, this is supposed to make us smarter.
Mm.
And I'm really glad that you are doing this show for mothers to listen and learn
Mm.
because God made medicine. It is by just spirituality and prayer, then Christians should stop going to the hospital then and see what happens. It is by spirituality and prayers, then Christians should eat whatever they want to eat, not considering their health, and see what happens at the end of the day. So we Christians, as Christians, we pick what works for us. We pick what works. We pick parts of the Bible that works for us, but we don't read the Bible true and true.
Wow.
We do selective hearing, selective preaching, selective choosing of things. That's what we do as Christians, and it's really sad. And that's why you see a lot of Christians perish. Christians die a lot. Recently, I've been seeing a lot of Christians just, you know, slumming, dying,
Wow.
heart failure, cardiac arrest. A lot because Christians now we don't want to go to the hospital. We don't want to go because it's the things of the world. But we are dying before our time. So ignorance itself is a disease on its own. It's a disease that is killing Christians every single day. So getting diagnosis for your kid is not bad. It's not from the pit of hell, people. I'm standing here with emo. I'm standing and I just want to pray. I'm praying right now that mothers can just see, can just listen, can listen to God, can listen to that Holy Spirit telling them that I'm giving you a kid. Because one thing is that, forget, okay, let me even take out that diagnosis right now. If you buy a car, I'm not saying your kid is a car,
Okay.
but this is an illustration. If you buy a car and you don't read the manual to drive that car, no matter how precious and beautiful the technology of the car is, you will misuse the car.
Wow.
This is plain and simple. God has given you a kid. He has given you that gem. If you don't know how to take care of that gem, you're going to misuse the gem. If you don't know how to take care of your kid, because sometimes we use the medication for headache, we use it for back pain.
Hmm.
You getting a diagnosis for your kid is not for you to stigmatize the kid, but it's for you to know how well you're going to take care of your kid. And I just want to employ all parents listening to me tonight. Christianity doesn't mean stupidity.
Wow.
God has given us all these things and all these resources so we can be wise.
Mm.
We can allow the people of the world to continue to be wiser than people in the church.
Wow.
I know a lot of people listening to me right now, they're still going to judge that this one is a fake Christian.
Absolutely.
But how has that gotten you? You that have that neurodivergent kid. You've been praying and praying and praying. How has that changed? You out there judging that, oh, this we don't pray enough or whatever. Be thankful that God Almighty has given you that neurotypical kid. But that doesn't mean that neurodivergent kid is not even better than your neurotypical kid. Because if you look at the people of the world doing things, creating things, Elon Musk, the Microsoft genius, the Apple genius, they're all neurodivergent. Mark Zuckerberg, we talk about Facebook. That guy is neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Look at Michael Phelps. We talk about Michael Phelps all the time. Holds the record, the gold medals. People look at the glory and the glamour. But they take away the real story behind the man, the ADHD. And the ADHD, if you doubt it, go and, the thing is that we have resources, but we don't use it. Human beings don't read. That's the problem. That's part of being ignorant.
Mm.
Before Michael Phelps became the world champion, people, he started as ADHD. And what the mom did was the mom got a diagnosis for him, and she knew what to do with the boy. And what she did was she took the boy to a swimming school. And before you knew it, the boy started swimming. That was how he was able to stay. That was how he was able to relax himself. And he became the world champion. And we still talk about him. Records upon records. I don't want to take you all of your time today, but I just want to leave you with something. Christianity doesn't mean stupidity. I'm a pastor. I'll keep preaching it. For as many Christians that want to be ignorant, continue to be ignorant. And that's why people of the world are doing better fat things than Christians. But again, I pray that this show you're doing will continue to grow. I love you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to share the link with the people in my church.
Thank you.
And, you're a super mom.
Thank you so much. Whoa, that was great. I that caller, Catherine, I believe you took the word out of my mouth. You said everything and you hit the nail on the head. And I want to appreciate you for calling and sharing that with us, because one thing I've realized is Christians, our religion that we practice, not Christianity now, the religion that we practice, many times it's not, personally, I do not think that that's what Jesus had in mind. Because instead of practicing Christianity as Jesus, let us, as Jesus has showed us, we try and practice religion, acting like the Pharisees, the Sadducees, all perfect. And we know that Jesus doesn't like stuff like that. He doesn't like hypocritism. He doesn't like, Christians are more likely to accept a cardiac. If they tell you, oh, your kid's heart's gone back, Christians are more likely to accept that and accept an autism diagnosis. That's how bad it is. Christians, you don't want, you ask if I'm being judged, caller. Yes, I'm being judged. I know. I see the looks. I don't care because I'm doing what God sent me to do. But I know that every day people are judging me and like, what is wrong with you? Why are you putting your family out there like that? Don't you know that, this thing makes you look somehow? And I don't, because The more we hide it, the more we keep it, the more it looks like it's something bad. Autism is not bad. Autistic kids are not bad. They are blessings. It took me a long time for me to get to a place where I started seeing my kids as a blessing to the world. I'd always seen them as a blessing to the world, but accepting, just letting it just hit me and letting me flow in that they are blessings to their world. And God has created them. They are different. And God told me, Imole, different is good. There is nothing wrong with the kids I gave you. They are absolutely beautiful. Love them, accept them, just trust me in them. I'm up to something. And so I'm encouraging Christians right now to let you know that, please note, autism is not a spiritual attack. Autism is not from the pit of hell. Many people have been praying on autism, and I don't know if you've seen a miracle that has happened where a kid that has been autistic has stopped becoming autistic. I mean, of course, things will change, and certain things you will trust God from, but I believe autistic kids are God's creations as well. Love them, accept them, pray for them. Trust the God in them that has given you these kids, that there is a purpose. I played Cody one time. Cody is autistic, is one, what's it called? Is one America's Got Talent and all. He's autistic, and I'm sure that many people already gave up on him and stuff. And he went on to just become so beautiful, so like, doing great things with his life out there. And that is to show you that this is not a limitation. Even as advanced as Cody's case was, Cody's blind, autistic, he couldn't speak well, but he could sing. And through that music, God used him to be a blessing to many out there. So in essence, autism is not a spiritual attack. God created autistic kids too. If you love them, accept them, trust the God in their lives, God will use them for his glory. Okay, this wasn't the plan today, but okay, we'll roll with it. Let's go to the last one and take that. We have a few comments here. Bex Mama says here, thank you, speaker. God bless you. Absolutely. Thank you, speaker, for calling in and sharing that with us. God bless you. This is the Neurodivergent Show. Please go ahead and give us a like. Okay, like the show. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and share your contribution, share what you've experienced when it comes to diagnosis and people absolutely refusing to get an autism diagnosis for their kids or for themselves, and the reasons behind it. Would like to hear from you. The seventh one is autism traits are phases kids will outgrow of eventually. Now, this is a big one, because the truth is there's some autistic traits that kids will outgrow of. Traits like, if a kid is not talking, some nonverbal kids eventually become verbal. Some kids that couldn't do certain things eventually learn how to do them. But that does not mean that they have outgrown autism. They have just learned how to do certain things. They are still autistic. I say this over and over again. Autistic kids will eventually become autistic adults. Things will change. They will improve in certain areas and be able to do certain things they couldn't do before. But autistic kids eventually become autistic adults. And if you're hoping that your kid will eventually, somehow, there's going to be a miracle and there's going to be a cure and autism traits will, it's not going to happen. The autistic kids trait will present differently in future. That's the only difference. But the kid or that person, that individual will still be autistic. Today's show is to reach out to everyone who's reluctant to get an autism diagnosis. Today's show is also to reach out to people who may not even know that their kid's autistic, or may not even know that they are autistic. They just know that there is this difference. Today's show is also reaching out to people who are on the fence. They want to get it, they're not sure, all this kind of things. Today's show is not in any way to judge you or make you feel like you're like you're a bad person for not getting an autism diagnosis for your kids. No, it's not. It's to let you see that we went back to the roots today. We went back to the basics and we brought it out. We let you know that, okay, we understand that these are the reasons why you're not getting an autism diagnosis, or why you do not want to seek an autism diagnosis. But what we are coming back to tell you that it is still not enough, because eventually, what's the important factor here? The kid. Again, what's the important factor here? The kid. and you go and read about it many, many times. Many kids that go undiagnosed as kids will eventually get their diagnosis in future. And you hear them say this, I wish, I wish, I wish somebody had done this for me when I was little. I wish somebody had told me I was autistic. My life would have been completely different. I would have lived a different life. I would have been better off because I would have understood what was going on with me. And because of that, I would have known how to maneuver my world. I wouldn't have had to pretend like I was neurotypical or, just feel like there was something wrong with me, because there is nothing wrong with me. I just happen to be autistic. I want to encourage you today. Oh, we have another caller. Hi, let's see. Let's quickly take this one before we round off. Hi, this is the Neurodivergent Show. What's your name? Calling us from, real quick, please.
It's Catherine again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, there's one thing I forgot to say, and this is the testimony part.
Okay.
My son is a surgeon now, and he couldn't speak until he was 13, but he's a surgeon now.
Surgeon?
He's a surgeon now, and he didn't speak until he was 13. So I
Okay.
just wanted to share that testimony so Christians that are listening to me will know that, again, don't be ignorant. All
Oh,
right, thank you.
oh, thank you so much. Oh, wow. Such a beautiful testimony. Did you all hear that? Our caller says his or her son is a surgeon, and the son was nonverbal for a long time until the child was 13, and the kid is a surgeon now. And there are countless testimonies out there. Autistic people doing great things, great things. Coaches, Google autistic. These days, I'm so thankful I'm able to Google these things and, Google autism, people doing great things, many actors, many great people coming out telling you like, hey, I'm autistic, but hey, it's okay. It's not a limiting factor. Is autism is can be a gift for your kid. An autism diagnosis can be a gift for your kid if you let it be, um because it gives a kid an explanation as to what the kid will encounter as the kid goes out there, because autism traits will show. I know kids are able to mask and stuff, but autistic kids will show, traits will show, and then when it shows, people will definitely sense that they are different. So let's just save everybody the confusion and save everybody the headache. Go ahead, if you're being led in your spirit, seek out an autism diagnosis. Your kid may actually not be autistic though, but what you're doing is you're putting, the foot first. You're trying to put your kid first, and saying that, oh, I want to do this for you. Let me see if this is what is going on with you. And if your kid is autistic, love, accept, train them, help them, give them all the resources they need, so that they can live a perfect or a beautiful life. Because with autism, a beautiful life is very possible. Thank you. All right. Thank you all for joining us today on the Neurodivergent Show. I hope you've learned a lot. I appreciate especially the caller, the called in today, sharing his or our experience with us. Thank you so much. And thank you for that testimony. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. God bless you all. This is the Neurodivergent Show, where we discuss all things ADHD, autism spectrum, dyslexia, and OCD. It's been a pleasure um, being here with you all today. Thank you for your text. Thank you for liking our show. Thank you for subscribing. And I hope you join us same time next week, Friday, where we get to talk about, neurodivergence as a whole, and just learning, raising awareness, advocating for the neurodivergent community. My name is Imo Falami. I appreciate you all's time, and I hope you have a blessed weekend. Bye bye.